estrogen is the more emotional, more sensitive hormone. Testosterone is the opposite. It's the one that puts on more muscle. We're very testosterone focused in what we love in society. Nobody wants to be estrogen dominant. They want to be testosterone dominant, both men and women these days.
If you've been curious about Ozempic, but you're worried about the horror stories, you know, the celebrities looking really gaunt, muscle wasting, Ozempic face, you need to hear this. Most people are doing it completely wrong. And today I'm talking with Dr. Guy, a functional medicine doctor who's been using GLP-1 peptides for over a decade, long before they became Hollywood's weight loss craze. Now he's going to explain why microdosing these peptides is the right way you can transform your metabolism, brain function, without all of those scary side effects. We're also diving into the peptide revolution that's quietly happening in medicine and why your hormones are probably more messed up than you think, and the one test that actually reveals what's really going on in your body. Dr. Guy, welcome to the show for the second time. I can't wait to have this conversation about hormones. Welcome.
Thank you.
All right, check this out. We're going on with those quick rapid fire questions. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. What is one thing that is affecting hormones the most right now?
Stress.
Stress. Okay.
Stress.
How can someone tell if their hormones are truly out of balance? What's one thing that is really common?
It depends on the age. But there's a whole host of symptoms that are hormonal derived that I don't think a lot of people know are hormonal. So I think people guess what hormonal symptoms are, but fatigue is probably the biggest one. Libido, fatigue and libido. But then there's this whole slew of other symptoms that are correlated.
Better for hormone testing, conventional blood work or a Dutch test?
I actually do both, but I think you're going to miss a lot if you only do conventional blood testing.
Okay. Do your hormones follow your sleep and circadian rhythms?
100%.
Okay. What's the biggest toxic exposure that disrupts our hormones to you?
Plastics.
Plastics.
Yeah. Okay. Xenoestrogens, plastics. Yeah.
You do a lot of testing for people's hormones. What hormone do you see is most disrupted in women and men?
Well, there's three hormones. All three of them get disrupted very easily. There's progesterone, estrogen, and testosterone. And there's a lot of people who don't talk about the benefits of testosterone specifically for women. And there's a lot of people who don't talk about how toxic estrogen can be for men.
Amen. All right, we're going into this. We got to talk about this. Listen, I am a 40-year-old man, 41 tomorrow, by the way.
Wow. There we go. Happy birthday.
My testosterone is good as of last year. I don't know how it is now. We got to get it checked out.
Okay.
Now, at what age does testosterone start dropping for men and women?
So for men and women, 40 is like the big number.
It's a big number.
It's a big number.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the beginning for women for perimenopause, and it's the beginning for men for andropause.
Okay. What do us fellas start feeling early on?
So the big thing is vitality. So what I see with men is they don't feel as strong. They start to gain a little bit of extra weight, love handles, their libido goes down, their desire goes down, and then immediately fatigue and mental clarity is a big one.
Huge.
Yeah.
And for the ladies, what's happening now that as they're going towards menopause?
Similar like libido, excess weight gain. The hormone does the same thing in both men and women. So for women, they'll experience, same thing, fatigue, lethargy, lack of vitality, lack of desire, lack of libido, more fat, less muscle.
The estrogen for men, because their testosterone is going down, is that naturally just going up?
Well, testosterone naturally converts to estrogen. So really the body makes a lot of testosterone and then it in men, and then it converts through enzymes to estrogen. Oftentimes people's expression of that conversion is too elevated. So that men, their balance between estrogen and testosterone needs to be evaluated, because sometimes even if they have high testosterone, they'll convert too much into estrogen.
Yeah.
And estrogen and testosterone compete for the same receptors on the cells. So sometimes when the estrogen wins, they'll experience the increase of symptoms of a heavy estrogen.
Okay. And for the fellas out there and the ladies out there, what does that picture look like of estrogen dominance and or just an increase in estrogen?
So estrogen, the way I like to explain it is the more emotional, more sensitive hormone. So for in excess, it's people who have more mood irregularities, a little bit more weight gain, a little bit more swelling. Testosterone is the opposite. It's the one that puts on more muscle. We're very testosterone focused in what we love in society, right? Nobody wants to be estrogen dominant. They want to be testosterone dominant, both men and women these days. So, yeah.
It's just what we see.
Yeah.
So look, you mentioned the microplastics. There's a big environmental influence on hormones that maybe wasn't there 20, 30, definitely not 40 years ago.
Yeah.
You have your clinic, you have people coming in. I know you work with gut, I know you work with peptides, and I know you work with hormones. What is the most common thing that is happening right now in our hormones? Are all of them disrupted? Are sex hormones just down in the dumps at an early age, even in our 30s? What are you seeing? And are you relating any of that to going, oh, there might be a microplastics issue here?
100%. What I see is a little bit of a epidemic in low testosterone for men, and fertility we know is dropping. So I don't have the latest statistics on fertility rates, but the last time I looked, it was much lower than it was 50 years ago. I attribute that to plastics. Plastics will live in the tissue. We currently, unless you have interviewed somebody that knows, I've not heard of any way to really rid the body well of plastics. And plastics will live and start to become hormone mimickers. And specifically, they act more like estrogen. And so they can decrease testosterone, they can mess with receptivity, they can mess with productivity, and they can cause infertility and all sorts of stuff. So as infertility is on the rise, one of the big things is industrial pollutants and plastics. Yeah.
What about predisposition towards hormonal cancers? Is that setting people up with this exposure? Because you said it was competing for estrogen. Can it set people up for these cancers too?
Yeah, I think 100%. I think anything foreign can elicit immune responses. I think the biggest thing is when we start to get into estrogen dominance, one of the ways that cancer gets formed is estrogen can get oxidized and create DNA damage. There's a pathway we can talk about through the Dutch that you can see. It's not the only way that estrogen becomes cancerous, but one of the ways estrogen can become cancerous is if it oxidizes and then starts to implicate on the DNA through oxidation. And then that'll create DNA damage, and then eventually that can turn into cancer cells.
Well, you said something really important because we can test for this. And I want to go into the Dutch test now because there's a lot of people who listen to the show. A lot of people in here are women. And they go, okay, my mom had cancer, breast cancer, and my grandma had ovarian cancer. And I have estrogen dominance, had it, a history of it. They could take this Dutch test, and you're saying that they could see a pathway of where estrogen is going down. That could be detrimental to their DNA. Can you speak more about that pathway of where estrogen is going?
Yeah. Do you think everybody knows about the Dutch test, or should we?
No, let's just do it. Let's just intro and why you love it and why you do it. I used to use it when I was in practice all the time.
So when I started getting into, I'll give a little bit of a background. When I started getting into this field, microbiome labs hired me to speak for them. And so I started traveling nationally and doing microbiome talks. At the same time, I was starting to run my clinic. And what I started to notice is that a lot of people were starting to come in with hormonal dysfunction. I would do conventional blood testing. That would only tell me so much. Oftentimes the blood test looks normal. The patient still felt really bad. I was like, there's something underlying. The Dutch test was the predominant functional hormone test. So what it is it's a dried urinary hormone test that you take at home, you send into Dutch. I have no affiliation with them. I just really like them. I support them. And I started running Dutch on all my patients for a couple of years. And I started seeing kind of profound information in the Dutch, but it was so complex. The Dutch is a very complicated test to analyze. So fast forward a few years, I just have like this, I actually got sick with COVID, and I just had this like weird hallucination idea that I needed to create an interpretation guide for the Dutch test. I don't work for them, I never worked for them, but I was like, I need to do this. So sat down and created kind of an algorithm, worked for a couple of years on it, basically then ended up getting funded and built this company called EndoAccess. And EndoAccess is a separate company from Dutch, and it interprets the Dutch for practitioners. And what we did was we isolated every hormonal possible dysfunction in existence for men and women, which is really cool. So now we know that there's 230, women can have up to one of 238 dysfunctional patterns. Men can have one of 96. So it's one of the biggest endocrinology projects that I know of in our space. Luckily, I got funded. It took 4 years to kind of build out. This was a huge build out. And we launched last year. And what we're seeing is the understanding of what the hormones are doing in the body and how the Dutch interprets them paints a big story of what's happening. So the Dutch is a functional test ultimately to look at hormones, and then we interpret that through EndoAccess and provide that to the doctor. The doctor then interprets the results, gives it to the patient, and then and we created a supplement line that addresses all the female hormone dysfunctions.
Amazing.
Excuse me. Yeah. So so one of the pathways, to answer your question, one of the pathways which the Dutch looks at is it looks at metabolites. So conventional hormone testing will look at 3 baseline hormones: progesterone, estrogen, testosterone. That's it. That's all it's going to look at. There's a couple of other things: DHEA, sex hormone binding, LH, FSH. So those are a couple other tests in the blood. But the Dutch looks at like 52 breakdown components of those hormones to look at all the different metabolites. Metabolites meaning it's a subsection of that hormone when it gets broken down. So you have your baseline estrogen, that gets broken down into 6 metabolites, and each one of those has a physiological action. What that does is it gives us the story of how the body's utilizing that hormone. So the pathway that you're speaking of is one of the pathways of estrogen. When you look at one of the byproducts, if it's too high in relationship to the other metabolites, it can oxidize and create cancer. It's not the only way cancer gets formed, and it's not a sure way, because there is no sure way to dictate whether cancer is going to get formed, but it is a nice idea of how this woman is utilizing estrogen specifically, and whether that's going to go into possible DNA damage. And the only way that we know how to do that right now is testing through the Dutch. So it's really good for women on bioidentical hormone replacement, and it's good for any woman who has estrogen dominance, because it's going to tell us, do you have any potential ability to prevent breast cancer or ovarian cancer?
When estrogen is metabolized, is there a way to dictate or shunt the pathways so those ratios change on how it's metabolized?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, herbs and minerals, enzymes can completely alter that pathway. So that's what we did. We figured out all the pathways, all the potential patterns of dysfunction, and we created supplements that address those patterns to shift those ratios back into normal. And once those ratios go back into normal and everything's better, again, there's no crystal ball on any of this stuff, but once those patterns are all normal, like in blood work, when things go back into the normal range, the body is functioning healthy. And that's why I like the Dutch test, because it paints a story that no other test can paint.
Really potent insight. I love that. And can we ask our doctor for the Dutch test? Or
yeah.
Okay, our conventional doctor?
Probably not. I mean, you can. Good luck. I hope they get on board. But yeah, it's a functional medicine test.
It just is what it is.
Any practitioner can order the test.
Okay. It's a matter if they will order it.
It's a matter if they will order it. And then if they're a practitioner, they can utilize our platform for free. Actually, we don't charge for it. And they can interpret and understand and provide that result to the patient.
Yeah. All right. So for the fellas out there, let's say I was to take a Dutch test. What will it show me as a 40-year-old man onwards that can inspire me to go, okay, hey, whoa, you need to focus on this more. You need to focus on this more. What kind of painted picture are men in their 40s starting to see on these tests?
Yeah, so it's a big deal also. And I think the Dutch is typically used for women, but I've seen profound results for men. I'll give you an example. So I had a 40-year-old male patient. They came in and testosterone was like 230, right? Which is really low. The range that you want for men, I really like to get them as close to 1,000 as possible. Really, that's when men feel the most vital, the most like themselves, really energetic, mentally clear. So one of the ways that, especially if they're thinking about having children, I don't like to give testosterone replacement because that'll shunt their own production of testosterone and ultimately hurt their fertility. So I really like using something called Clomid or enclomiphene, which is a pharmaceutical. We can use herbs too, but I've never seen the herbs boost a male's testosterone into like the 800-900s. If it's like 230, 240, if it's like 500, 100%, then we use herbal protocols. But if it's really, really low, just in my personal clinical experience, it's been really hard. So I use the support of herbs and pharmacy to get them into their appropriate levels. The Dutch test will tell you how that testosterone is broken down into its metabolites. And sometimes men go into 5-beta versus 5-alpha testosterone, and 5-beta doesn't feel like anything. 5-beta is like the chill version of testosterone. So a conventional doctor can look at the patient and say, okay, your testosterone's 1,000.
Yeah,
you're doing all the good things. Yeah. I don't know why you don't have good quality of erections. Your desire's low. You're still not, you're not gaining muscle mass. Like, I don't know, everything looks fine. This must be a you problem. So then we run the Dutch and we see how their conversion pathways change. And then we shift their conversion from 5-beta to 5-alpha. 5-alpha is that you feel it. It goes into the cell. You feel the testosterone. It makes you...
You're up. You're alive.
Optimus
vital.
Prime.
Optimus Prime. Yeah. And is that shifted, that pathway shifted the same way with minerals, herbs, the same thing?
Yeah, you have to block, you can block 5-beta. And sometimes it just Clomid is the wrong instance of that, right? And you have to boost, there's other ways to get them to go there. But that's why I always say, it's good to work with functional doctors. So,
well, you said something that stuck out. I used to work in a regenerative clinic when I first moved to LA, and they love testosterone shots to the butt.
Yeah.
And all the guys came in there. I'm talking about, like, I didn't expect for that clinic to be booming with testosterone shots to the butt.
Yeah.
And you're saying that might not be so good if you want to have a baby. I love creatine. I took it when I was younger in fitness and really wanting to put on muscles. And for me, it was only about muscles for a long time until the research started really coming out and popularizing around mental health and brain. It's so important. And creatine is not just for athletes. It's for people that are wanting to support their cognition as well as their strength and recovery. It's something I take every single day, minimum 5 grams for myself. And something that might surprise you is that creatine is one of the most underrated supplements in women's health, especially when it comes to hormones, muscle health, bone health, brain function, mood, energy, almost everything that women are looking for in this world. Creatine is there. Now, most women are missing out on the benefits of creatine because it's marketed for bodybuilders, right? And that's what I thought when I was younger. But the studies are now coming out showing that it can support not only the muscle, but as we age across the board, especially for women going through menopause, it's going to help maintain that muscle mass, that bone density, and that is crucial for longevity. It's going to help the cognition stay sharp. And creatine supplementation in perimenopausal, but especially postmenopausal women can improve muscle size and function. And we're not talking about being bodybuilder jacked up. No, we're talking about being toned and healthy. And when you combine it with resistance training, it can positively affect bone health, and that is essential for longevity. I love Peori's Creatine Plus with taurine. It's not just creatine, it's got one of my favorite amino acids in the world, taurine. And not all creatine is created equal. This is the innovative combination of creatine monohydrate and taurine that is going to support both your physical performance and your cognitive function. So each scoop, you get 5 grams of creatine and 400 milligrams of taurine to support muscle growth and increase muscle strength, muscle support, and recovery. It's going to reduce muscle damage and soreness. And with Peori, always, I know I'm getting a transparent, clean, high quality, high integrity company. Peori Creatine Plus is tested by the Clean Label Project against 200 nasty contaminants like heavy metals, pesticides, dioxins, BPA. And guess what? You could scan the QR code and see the results for that specific batch. This is transparency at the highest level. It's the most ultra pure company that I have found. In an unregulated industry, Peori rises to the top with third-party testing and publishing everything to give you confidence. So if you want to try my favorite creatine that I put in my morning smoothie every single day, You're going to get 20% off of your Piori order. Get yourself some creatine plus. Go to piori.com/DRG and use my code DRG. That is PUORI.com/DRG. Let me talk to you something that has been a total game changer in my home, and it's probably not what you think. It is an air purifier, because what we breathe in matters as much as what we eat or drink. And air quality in our homes can be filled from everything from mold spores to pollen to smoke to allergies. And air purifiers are so important. Most of them are going to be in plastic boxes, make a lot of noise. And then I discovered the Jasper. The Jasper was brought to me by my sales team, and they said, this is a fantastic air purifier. And I looked into it, and it was true. I loved it so much that I got the founder on. And what immediately caught my attention is the design. It's so many of the air purifiers are clunky, antiquated looking, 90s looking, and this is sleek, quiet, and powerful. But here's what really got me. It's built with steel, not plastic. So we're talking about machines that are actually built to last. So Jasper handles everything from smoke to mold to pollen, all the allergens that make you feel terrible without you even realizing why. Whether you're dealing with seasonal allergies, live in an area that is susceptible to wildfires or smoke, or just want the cleanest air possible in your home, get this. I am confident that you will love it. It has a lifetime warranty. Yes, lifetime. That tells you everything you need to know about the quality and engineering that goes into these units. Since I've been using my Jasper for about a year now, I have 2 running. One's on the first floor, one's on the second floor. Ooh, I have 3 actually. 1 first floor, second, third floor. And I've noticed cleaner air, better overall sleep, and just an overall sense that my home environment is clean. The air is nice. We tested it. We have people come in and test the air, and they say the air is super clean. Thank you, Jasper. Go to jasper.co/DRG and use the code DRG for $200 off for a limited time. That is JASPR.co/DRG. The code is DRG.
100%. I'm not a big fan of testosterone replacement therapy for most people until they get to the age where they really can't make it themselves anymore.
Yeah.
I'm a big advocate overall of using using your body's ability to create the things it needs to create and promoting those pathways. Mm-hmm. That, in my opinion, is the best medicine.
Yeah.
So when there's replacement therapy, it's only when the body can't produce those molecules anymore. And that's how I work clinically across the board with peptides, with amino acid therapy, with everything I do is to help the body produce what it needs to do. I just try to give it the building blocks to do that.
For sure.
Yeah.
So you mentioned about replacement therapy. What about hormone replacement therapy that a lot of the women are getting?
Well, again, when they go through menopause or at the end of their perimenopausal period and they need bioidentical replacement because their ovaries are shutting down, they don't have any more eggs, and they are not producing enough hormone, that's an amazing time to replace what their body cannot do. But I promote what their body can do for as long as possible until their body can't make those things, and then I replace them.
When that's happening, and a lady in her maybe late 40s, going in her 50s, okay.
Yeah.
Symptomatically, what is she feeling?
Yeah.
And then hormone replacement therapy, bioidentical hormones, is that the same thing? Is there synthetic hormones? Is that better? Is that worse? Like, what's the deal with these bioidentical hormones that so many women want to get on? So how are they feeling? And then which one's the best choice to get on?
So it's interesting because probably the first 10 years I was in practice, I only did bioidentical hormones. And a lot of research has come out and it's basically said that it's the same molecule as the conventional estradiol. I use the Dutch test to see how they're utilizing either bioidenticals or synthetic estrogen. It really doesn't matter. The molecule looks the same if it's synthetic or it's bioidentical. It's the same exact. Estrogen is estrogen is estrogen. That's it. And I didn't believe that for a really long time. I was like, no way, bioidenticals are the only way. I'm never going to put anything in anybody's body that's not bioidentical. I've seen that progesterone and estradiol act the exact same way. There's all this research that's come out in the last few years that showed there's really no advantageous reason to use specifically bioidentical hormones over just conventional estradiol. Is just estrogen at the end of the day. The molecule is the molecule. So I don't know. These things change so frequently, but I can tell you that when I look at the pathways of how, because I always look at the utilization pathways, right? I give the hormone and I look at how the female is breaking down or the male is breaking down the hormones to make sure that the breakdown of the hormone is appropriate in supporting their tissue. And I haven't seen a difference. So now I use I only use bioidenticals like if they're allergic to like the component, like peanut oil, right? So they take progesterone, they add peanut oil. That's the conventional form. If they're allergic to peanut oil, then I'm like, okay, well, we can compound you a progesterone that's the same in a different type of oil. That's really, it's the byproduct of the delivery system or what it's living in. I think I forgot the rest of your question.
No, but it leads me to the next one, because as someone, and knowing that that's down the line, it's an option for many of the women.
Yeah.
When should they start treating themselves for their hormones to make sure that when they go through menopause, it's a lot smoother than, their friend up the street that they talk to all the time?
Yeah, let's talk about, so for women, what I see is the hardest period of their life is between 47 to 52. Hands down, a very, very challenging period. And this is why. Biochemically, what's happening, physiologically, what's happening is this. There are months where the ovaries are fine. They're doing great. And then there's months where the ovaries just don't make anything. And what I mean by that is like the signaling is off and the body just does not make progesterone that month. And then the next month is totally fine again, right? And then it could be 2 months of being fine. And then 3 months, you might be completely deficient. So it's a very volatile period of a lot of ups and downs. And then what happens is specifically the metabolism starts to decrease because the hormones start to decrease. Hormones indicate a healthier metabolism. So when the metabolism starts to decrease, these are women that come in and they go, I eat beautifully. I've been eating this way my entire life. I'm 15 pounds heavier. I've literally changed nothing in my life. And I don't understand why I'm gaining weight. That's usually the first telltale sign that it's perimenopause. And then it could be my period is shortening in length and the frequency of my period is shortening. So sometimes I get my period every 21 days. That's very common. So what that means is progesterone is decreasing because that keeps the length of your period healthy or the cycle length healthy. And then they feel a little bit crazy because their mood is very much regulated by these hormones. So they get a lot of mood disruptions and it's a very challenging time. They gain weight, they don't feel great, they're low vitality, their sex drive changes, they start to have symptoms of menopause, but they're still having a period. And then so that's when, first of all, that's when I always tell women, like, it's really good to work with a hormone doc. Like, that's when you want to go in because you can mitigate so much of that, right? With somebody who's knowledgeable on how to help you shift in the months where those things shift. And there are often times at those periods where I will prescribe a component of a hormone, maybe not all three for a female, but I'll give maybe progesterone. I'll say, okay, estrogen and testosterone are okay. Your progesterone keeps messing up. We'll just replace this progesterone, or I'll give you a formulation with like Vitex, Chastry, Danquai, all that kind of stuff, Shivitari, everything to like boost your own production of progesterone. And we sometimes try natural, and if natural doesn't work, then we shift into pharmaceutical. So, yeah.
Yeah. I
don't know if that was too much. But
no, but it's really empowering to a lot of the women out there who knows that, okay, as I progress down this pathway that's inevitable, that there's things that you can do early on to make the sailing a lot more smooth.
Exactly.
And that's really empowering. I hear, and I had a podcast a while ago, and we were talking about testosterone for women going through menopause.
Yeah.
This is the new hot thing, isn't it?
I've been saying it for 10 years. I don't know why everybody's just jumping on. Yes, testosterone is phenomenal for women. Phenomenal. It needs to be given to women. I don't know why they think it's a male hormone. It is a female hormone also. The hormone is the hormone. It works the same. It's just women don't need as much as men, but they still need it.
Yeah. So during menopause, what's going on? How's it helping them?
Oh, like it just, testosterone is directly correlated to metabolism. So if you want a healthy metabolism, and you don't want to start decreasing your metabolism, and metabolism indicates how many calories you burn at rest, right? So if we talk about metabolism, it's I'm sitting here all day. Let's say I didn't move. I burn a certain amount of calories. If my testosterone starts to decrease, my body uses less calories, which means that if I'm eating the same, the excess calories that I'm eating directly convert to fat. So if I want to maintain my metabolism, I need to maintain my testosterone. There's a direct correlation with metabolism and testosterone.
So okay. And,
Yeah. So
this
women
is
need
great.
testosterone. Yeah.
Women need testosterone.
Yeah.
Is there do they start? I guess it depends on the Dutch tests, right? Or the testing.
Or conventional labs. I mean, conventional labs are very good for serum testosterone.
Yeah.
Conventional labs are not great for progesterone.
Yeah. Okay. Potent information for the ladies out there.
Yeah.
Amazing stuff. All right. What about, listen, this one is out of control for people. Cortisol. Does the Dutch test that?
It does test that.
Okay. How is cortisol supposed to look for a healthy person?
Yeah.
And stress.
Yeah.
What does dysfunctional cortisol do to a human being?
Yeah. So if you have too much cortisol, there's a correlation between cortisol and cortisone. And cortisone is considered like hydrocortisone, right? So if I gave somebody a lot of hydrocortisone, they'd gain a lot of weight because that is the component of cortisol that increases weight gain. So cortisol is a hormone made from the adrenal glands. That is the best way I explain it. It's your battery. So imagine we're all iPhones. We use our battery all day. We plug in at night. We recharge our battery. That's cortisol. You recycle, you recharge and reset your cortisol at night. That's the purpose of sleep. So sleep is so important. Regenerates your cortisol through the night. You wake up.
Let me ask you something personal. How is your sleep? No. How really is your sleep? I don't mean just getting through the night. I mean deep restorative sleep, waking up feeling recharged. I love my Birch mattress. You've probably seen my Instagram at some point with me doing back flips or front flips or side flips or trying to attempt a flip on my Birch mattress. And it's because I've had it for so long and they are one of my longest sponsors here. I love them. I stand by them. I've been standing by them as the best quality mattress you can get. Birch not only has transformed my sleep, I sleep comfortably. It's not too hard. It's not too soft. When I have my partner sleeping in the bed with me, when she moves around, I'm not really waking up. It's a quality mattress, but it's not just the comfort and the function. First and foremost, it's the quality. It's made of natural materials. It's avoiding all those harmful off-gassing that happen at night. And that's because of these synthetic mattresses that off-gas. They're loaded with chemicals, synthetic foams, and materials that are going to disrupt your sleep. You're sleeping at the interface, even if there's a little bed sheet on it, and it's off-gassing. You're breathing it in. It's going into your system, to your lungs, to your blood, and it's affecting your system. Your immune system reacts, especially if it's over time. I want you to think about microdosing chemicals a little bit at a time when you sleep for the life of your bed. That's how it happens. This is why I always, anytime I work with people and doing home cleaning, home care, I tell them you need to invest in a bed, if it's a conventional bed, when you can, right? It's not going to kill you overnight. It won't, but it could affect you over time. This is why I stand by Birch. They source only the finest quality materials, organic fair trade cotton, organic wool, natural latex straight from nature. It doesn't have that chemically smell when you open it too. I absolutely love that they have organic wool and it's hypoallergenic. No synthetic treatments. It's ethical. It has no chemical flame retardants, just natural materials doing exactly what they need to do. Plus, every Birch bed is constructed with non-toxic materials that make it breathable. So you don't have to worry about mold and mildew and sweating through the night. Birch is dedicated to not cutting corners. They own their own manufacturing facility. They control every single step of the process so you get the highest quality bed. Birch will send you your bed with a 100-night risk-free trial. It'll ship directly to your door and it's going to come rolled up in a box. It's easy. You just open it up. It opens up in your room and you have a 25-year warranty on that bed. I want you to enjoy sleep. Sleep is the fountain of youth. If you don't sleep well, I don't care what it is you're going through, it needs to be addressed as the number one thing. You need sleep. You need restoration. If you want a new mattress, if you're looking to get a new bed, I'm going to stand by Birch forever. birchliving.com/heal-thyself. You get 27% off site-wide. That is birchliving.com/heal-thyself, HEALTHYSELF, and get 27% off. Thank you, Birch.
According to, pretty much everybody, you wake up and then you're supposed to look at like bright light, and that's supposed to trigger your adrenals to wake up and you get a cortisol awakening response. And that surges your cortisol, and that's your battery for the day. So the graph looks like you wake up and it's like mid-level, and it shoots up in the morning and it goes all the way down for the rest of the day. And then when it's kind of at its end, that's when you're supposed to get tired. Your brain starts to generate melatonin and you pass out and you fall asleep, and you're supposed to stay asleep through the night. You regenerate all your cortisol, and that happens again. So there's a production of cortisol, which is a 24-hour production of cortisol. And then there's metabolized cortisol. And metabolized, we keep using that word for those who don't know. Metabolized just means utilized. Metabolized means, how do I utilize or break down anything I'm talking about? So if you're metabolizing cortisol, how does that look? How are you utilizing your cortisol through the day? And how is that then corresponding to symptoms that you're having? Does that?
Yeah, 100%. Now we know about cortisol. We know the rhythms. We know what it does. We know why, which is really important. So now we have the grounding context.
Good.
What the heck is the number one disruptor of cortisol? Is it just stress?
Yeah, I would say stress. I mean, brain, the nervous system is the major, right? Your brain is the major regulator for everything. And when people forget that the nervous system is the master control program, they forget that the rest of the body is correlated. I used to do a lot of emotional therapy for patients for like 10 years before I got into medicine. And what I realized was there's a certain amount of healing that needs to happen. Everybody, right? We need emotional healing. It's super important. But if your body is not properly managed chemically, your emotions start to dictate the show, and you have a harder time addressing your emotions. And the central nervous system is the way that we process our emotions in a healthy manner. And then that correlates to cortisol and physiological dysfunction. So, but you have to have the body be healthy in order to process the right amount of cortisol, in order to regulate the brain and the chemistry behind, and to maintain health and well-being and mental health and well-being. It all stems from the nervous system.
They're all connected, man. It's like, I don't think that people in therapy respect enough the physiological basis to mental health issues. But I also don't think that doctors respect enough the emotional component to physical health issues.
Exactly.
You know, and so it's like there's this crazy loop where a true integrative doctor, professional will go, both sides. I see the picture here, you know? And that's really, I love that you said that, because I can see that you're embodying that, I'm sure, with your clients too, and your patients. So this is great stuff. What about the brain fog though? People are suffering with brain fog. They're waking up, they're going like this through the day. Everything seems just like they're swimming underwater. I know they come to you with the brain fog. What is going on? Is that cortisol? Is that testosterone? Is it estrogen? Is it all of them?
Brain fog, primarily the first thing I look for is thyroid, right? Another set of hormones in the body. Your thyroid is kind of your major energy producer. So if you have brain fog, it means your brain isn't processing energy enough. And T3, which is one of the thyroid hormones, is like the direct, it's like the atomic bomb of energy in the body. If you have low T3, you're not producing, the plant is not working. Your plant, so you have mitochondria, you have adrenals, and you have thyroid. Those are the major three components for fatigue. Brain fog is just mental fatigue. So you need to assess how the cortisol, how the sleep is going, how the thyroid is going, and how the mitochondria is working. And if you kind of fix those three systems, brain fog immediately leaves.
It's a downstream effect. It's a downstream symptom of what we're saying. Okay, all right. I'm feeling this conversation. You know, I love this stuff because, you know, you can make some complex things seem really simple for people. And for those of you viewing and listening, we spoke about the gut. Last conversation we had years ago on steps. We went through literally the mouth, esophagus, stomach, small intestine. We went step by step on how to optimize everything. And it was really potent for people. But you work a lot with peptides. Now, peptides is a big love in your heart.
It's a big love.
Big love.
Been doing it for 10 years.
10 years.
I love that the whole world now is like peptides.
Listen, if y'all don't know, Dr. Guy is ahead of the curve. He's been talking about testosterone for women 10 years. Peptides, 10 years. Everything, 10 years. So why why are peptides so hot right now, first of all?
Yeah.
And do they really work? What the hell are peptides? Do they really work?
There's so much controversy about whether they really work or they don't really work. All I can tell you is that all my patients feel better on peptides. It's unbelievable. I would have a very time practicing without peptides. I would personally have a very hard time practicing without pharmaceuticals. There's a lot of controversy around that. I love pharmacy when it's used right. I love herbs when they're used right. I love supporting the body when it's used right. Peptides is, in my opinion, one of the most natural methods of delivery for modulating the body. And what I mean by that is they're amino acids, they're proteins. So when you look at how the body functions, your DNA indicates everything in the body. Your DNA is the blueprint for the body. So when your cell needs something, it goes to the nucleus, it gets a fragment of the DNA gets translated into a protein message. That protein message flies to a different part of the body, creates a response. That's a peptide. So how do we know peptides work is we look at what are those little fragments of the body doing? What are they causing? So they look at like how hair regeneration works, how gut physiology heals, how ligament and tendon repair happen, how any component of the body, you look at what's happening molecularly signaling that's causing that effect. And again, I'm a big proponent of having the body do what it does best, which is attempt to heal itself. That's what the body's designed to do. So the body's designed to heal thyself, right? So if the body's designed to heal thyself, how do we promote that, right? That's really all I do as a physician is just promote the body's ability to heal itself. That's it. That's all my job is. And peptides are they're beautiful. They're beautiful little molecules, and they work amazing. And I'm a big proponent of them, and I use them clinically. And when, there's a lot of things that I could tell, a lot of people are going to like these really cheap peptide companies, and we should talk about that. A lot of people are getting Chinese derived peptides. It's a big problem. They're trying to save a buck. Don't do that. I called all the Chinese. I was like, I want to offer cheap peptides in my clinic. I'm like, how do I compete with these companies? I called like 12 Chinese distributors. Not one of them tests for heavy metals, molds, toxins, nothing. They say that there's a purity scale. They don't know what that means. They don't know what the other non-impurities mean. Their testing methodology is awful. I do think they're sterile because they do sterile compounding. So that's okay. But you don't really know what else you're getting in those peptides, and they're Chinese derived. So everything, I am a big proponent of US derived peptides in a really nice facility that's tested with batch testing on everything else that could be inside of that peptide. So you're not potentially driving any other markers of dysfunction. And if you can't afford the good ones, I would say don't do it. The thing about peptides is you're injecting them. So you have a natural immunity in your body. Your stomach acid, that's your big immune barrier. Every time you ingest anything, it goes through this massive vat of acid. It kills anything that's not pure. And that's how the body protects itself from the outside world. But with peptides, you're injecting yourself. You're bypassing that system. You're going straight into the blood. Don't get cheap with yourself.
Don't get cheap with yourself. It's definitely not a place to just overlook and just...
That's not the place. There's a lot of places you can get cheap. Don't inject yourself with stuff that I'm a big fan. I'm like, that's the only thing that I don't like about this industry right now is everybody's going for cheap baseline peptides. They don't really understand their physiology. They're like hearing about these cool ones.
Yeah.
I love them. We can talk about them, but I always tell people just be safe. Even if you can only do one, just make sure it's like through a good, healthy pharmacy.
Give me a good case report of something, of a client or a patient using peptides and how it really improved their life.
Oh, I can give you tons. I just cured, well, not me, the molecules. The molecules cured a case of smoldering colitis through peptides.
Wow.
Which was wild to watch.
Long-term, sustainable?
Yeah, 3 years later, gone.
But what is it?
6
months. Is it one round of peptides?
6 months.
A few rounds of peptides. And is it just that the signaling is creating a whole new pathway in the cells?
Just healing. It just heals the response, right?
It's incredible.
It's incredible.
Okay.
I see that all the time. Joint dysfunction, unbelievable.
Yeah. What else? Smoldering colitis, brain issues.
Yeah, I mean, there's a peptide for everything. So if people don't know about peptides, a peptide is, again, it's just a fragment of amino acids. It's a signaling molecule. It signals the body to do something. So they just look at all the different ways the body heals and they create a peptide for that. And then you inject that peptide typically, and it goes and creates that response. So there's a couple dozen I use in practice based on what the patient's experiencing. So if they come in and they have joint dysfunction, joint pain, gut problems, low vitality, low libido, I mean, name it, like name the symptom. There's one that makes you tan. I mean, it's crazy. There's a peptide that increases your own production of melanin. It's called melanotan-2.
Yeah.
You just inject this peptide, you go into the sun, and you literally turn tan in like 10 minutes.
Come on.
Yeah. It's crazy. The only danger of that is if you have melanoma, it'll feed the melanoma. So before I do that one, I send somebody to the skin doctor, say, dermatologist, please evaluate. Are there any melanomas? No? Okay, great. Then you're safe for melanotan-2.
But there's something for everything.
There's something for everything because they're just signaling molecules.
What are some other disease states that you've seen peptides help reverse sustainably?
There's so many disease states. IBS, Crohn's, colitis, ulcerations, a lot of gut dysfunction, joint pain, joint swelling, joint inflammation, joint achiness, body swelling, edema, brain fog, lack of memory, sexual dysfunction, ED, for a lot of women, inability to orgasm. There's a peptide for that.
Unbelievable.
There is muscle building, body composition's the big one. I mean, the GLPs are peptides.
Yeah. Okay.
The GLPs are all peptides. I've been using them forever, and then they became it's just so funny to watch like the Instagram. I'm like, guys, this has been around for 30 years. So
wow.
Yeah, GLPs are amazing. A lot of people, so many people are terrified of GLPs, and I'm like, GLPs are, I think, one of the coolest things that have been introduced into humanity in the last 5 years.
Why are they terrified about it?
They're terrified because of all the controversy around it, and I think they're done improperly. But I think when done properly, like everything else, I think it is one of the most incredible things given to us. Specifically Americans, I'm going to say that.
We do it improperly.
No, we need it the most.
Oh, we need it the most, of course. Okay. So are we doing Ozempic improperly?
Well, I don't like Ozempic. That's the one I don't like.
Are we doing Wegovy improperly?
Yeah, most people are.
Because it's too high of a dose?
Too high of a dose, and they're not realizing that it's going to hit aerobic tissue first. So GLP-1s is going to hit the quickest way to get glucose into the cell, and that's going to start muscle wasting. There's so many ways to alter that mechanism to stop muscle wasting and just attack fat. The biggest problem is that we have too much fructose in our diet, and fructose is toxic. So if you are... the liver doesn't know what to do with fructose. It goes straight into sugar. It goes straight into adipose tissue, into fat. So if we have way too much added sugar into everybody's meal in America. They add sugar to everything, and it's improper sugar. It's not the healthy sugar. So the body doesn't know what to do with it. It becomes toxic. Because that's been happening for so long, our receptor sites for glucose have been compromised. The GLP-1s alter that to make the mechanism better, so that your body relearns how to utilize glucose appropriately. And so when done appropriately, and I like to microdose GLPs for patients, it's incredible. They feel great, they lose weight, and I'm like, it's like a peptide. It's just an amino acid. It's not a synthetic pharmaceutical that's like, it's not creating, it's not overriding the body's ability to heal. It is promoting the body's ability to heal. And anything that promotes the body's ability to heal, I'm a big fan of.
So for GLP-1s, they're retraining the body to utilize glucose at the receptor sites for people who've been inundated with fructose.
Exactly.
Okay, where's fructose coming from for people who don't know?
Corn syrup, any added sugars, table sugar,
all the processed
all
stuff
the processed crap, anything, any can that you're opening that has any like additives, all of that. And it's been, you know, like the sugar lobby won the war.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
And it hurt everybody's health, and it's been downstream since then.
And it's affecting our receptor sites.
It's affecting our receptor sites, our ability to process. So glucose is the most beautiful chemical because it makes everything function in the body. When that's compromised from getting into the cell because it's over inundated, it's like too much crowding, the body doesn't know what to do with, it starts to block the ability to process glucose appropriately. So your relationship on a biochemical level gets altered. Why would you not take a peptide to utilize that? It, like, all the research is like 40% reductions in cardiovascular disease, plaque disorders, Alzheimer's. I mean, they call Alzheimer's like diabetes 3 because of how much insulin dysregulation it affects in the brain. All of that can start to alter when we utilize insulin better. Appetite decreases in a healthy way when it's done healthy. And then I use muscle boosting peptides to alter that mechanism so that patients start building muscle while they lose fat. So body composition is really cool as a side effect of proper glucose utilization.
You see a lot of the celebrities looking like skin and bones in their face.
Yeah, it's all done wrong. Exactly. This Ozempic. Yeah, it's done wrong. They're doing high dose GLPs. They don't do the peptides that rehabilitate the muscles. They're not doing the proper diet and nutrition and exercise. It's not a Band-Aid to not do anything. It's not the lazy man's drug. And when it's done as a lazy man's drug, that's when it's a problem. And that's what I think most doctors are like, great, you have diabetes, take this and be done. It's not appropriate that way. It has to be done in conjunction with the whole body. You have to still look at the brain, the hormones, the gut. It needs to be part of the picture. It can't be the whole picture for weight loss. And when it's the whole picture for weight loss, that's when it's dangerous. And that's where people are terrified of it. So I have to retrain a lot of my patients on, like, if you utilize this appropriately, like a peptide, it's incredible for the body. Incredible. It's one of my favorites.
Versus like, this is a drug that I'm taking and this drug is utilized for me to just lose my weight.
Right.
And get fit for the summer.
Right.
And they're losing weight on their fat pads in their face and looking older, actually.
Right.
So I've seen
it's a big problem.
It's huge.
Yeah.
So you said microdosed GLP.
Yeah.
If you microdose it, will you still lose weight?
Yeah, if you do it correctly.
If you do it correctly.
Okay.
And microdose is not just losing weight, but you're going to notice brain benefits too because it's utilizing glucose better.
Exactly.
Incredible. So people are going to be, I mean,
my patients are like, how have I not been on this forever?
When they take it.
When they do it right. But I usually do two peptides or 3 at the same time, along with whatever else is going on in their body, right? So try to get them back to a place where they're vital.
Yeah. Now this begs the question then, all of these peptides, they're signaling things in the body. Can it signal a disease?
Yes. Again, it's mechanism, right? And that is where peptides are a little bit scary because there probably hasn't been enough clinical research on them for long enough of a period. However, when I look at the mechanisms and I look at what's going on, and I test everybody every year. So, you know, people come and do an annual physical. I do a comprehensive every year. And I look at cancer markers and I look at inflammatory markers and things that can cause cancer and microbiome. Like, I see the shift in the person's body over time. And it's always just healthier. So I don't see like for me, I'm like, cancer is when the body's, it's not processing the immune system properly. It's an immune system issue. And when the immune system gets overrun with leaky gut and inflammation and histamines and all these burdens, it can't regulate the cells properly and mitigate cancer. Not every time, but for the majority. So I just think we've sort of fallen out of like a comprehensive evaluation for people. And we're so myopic and like, it's this thing. And I'm like, it's not, it's an organism. It's the whole thing. And if you start to fail looking at the whole picture together, then you run into issues.
That's the true holistic doctor coming out of you right there, the integrative approach to everything. The gut issues was really potent because there's a lot of people, you know, who are really suffering with, you said IBS, inflammation, ulcerations, and maybe peptides, if they haven't found an answer with like the dietary stuff or even like the hypnosis stuff or whatever it is, that might be the thing that can really help them.
Yeah, it's incredible. But with gut, I mean, we've already done our
we
done
the gut. Go listen
but
to
gut,
the gut podcast.
But gut is you got to figure out the cause of the inflammation
For sure. 100%.
You got to reduce the cause, then you start healing. It's hard to heal the gut when it's inflamed.
I want to go back to that emotional piece. I want to go back to the emotional stuff.
Go.
You know, what was the emotional work that you were doing 10 years ago?
So I found, in my opinion, the best emotional therapy for me, I guess at the time, and for what I was treating. There's a technique called neuro-emotional therapy. It's called NET. Are you familiar?
Yeah.
Yeah. So for those of you who are not, it's not a very commonly known one. It uses mechanics of the body to indicate a yes/no response. So you ask the patient a question. Weirdly, there's a physiological phenomenon where the muscles will either become strong or weak depending on the question. It's wild to watch the first time, and you don't believe it. When you start working with the body and that mechanism, you're like, wow, the body's very responsive, actually. The body more than the mind. So there was this technique that was built by, I forgot who created it, but praise that man because he's a genius. And they went around and they educated, and I went to all their conferences, and I actually became an NET practitioner for almost 10 years. And I was treating a lot of people using just that modality. And it utilizes, it breaks down the origination point of emotional dysfunction. So let's just say, I'll give you an example. Your knee hurts really bad. You go to an NET practitioner, he'll ask your body a couple questions, he'll test your muscles in a certain way, and he'll drill down to when that started. Could have been like 8-year-old, your teacher said like, you're no good, you're fat, you're ugly, you don't deserve to walk. And then you inhabited that in your knee for whatever reason. And now it's showing up 20 years later because you never processed that emotion to begin with. So there's a huge emotional correlation between subconscious patterns and mind patterns and where dysfunction lays and lives in the body. There's a beautiful book called The Body Keeps the Score. And that's very primary. I think you were going into where gut lies with that. That's the gut is considered the second brain by many and the emotional center of the body. And a lot of people worry and they contain that worry in their gut. And that needs to be looked at as well.
Always, always. Like a true integrative doctor right there. You got to look at the emotional aspects. For sure, 100%, because then it could drive all that hormonal dysfunction that you were just talking about. You know?
And that's nervous system.
And that's
nervous system. The brain.
That's the brain.
So brain and nervous system, that needs to be regulated emotionally and physiologically. So,
I took some peptides.
Okay.
I still have one.
I saw you just drinking some.
I have one in my fridge, the IL-30, the one for my immune system.
Oh, LL37?
LL37. I still have that one. I have to take that one. I haven't done that one yet. But I did the cerebrolysin.
Yeah.
And it worked.
Yeah.
My brain was so sharp.
Yeah.
But it's like a big bolus. It was wild, and it was this big needle. My girlfriend put it in my butt, and I almost fainted. I never almost fainted ever on a needle. And I was just getting so hot and sweaty, and my eyes were going. And I was like, am I going to faint from a needle in my butt?
So I don't even know that's possible.
Yeah. I'm telling you, man, this needle, for those of you viewing, listening, I was this big. It was. I don't know what
how they
many
get
feet
into.
Is this? How many
at Dr. G's house. I don't know what they get into.
This looks like 3 feet needle.
By the way, a needle for peptides is this thing.
Okay, well, I got the biggest one of the biggest ones. I don't know, but but the cerebrolysin went in, and within a few days, I was like, whoa, okay, it's like a veil was lifted of fogginess.
Yeah,
it was really fantastic. I think I have to do it again because it lasted for like
daily.
A month. Yeah, you do
for
it daily.
6 weeks.
Okay, no, I did it. And see, I didn't do it like that. I did it twice. I only did twice ever, and it was over a few weeks. So
no. It's a daily regimen for a month or 6 weeks. You got to look at where it's coming from. But the Russians, that's like a big Russian peptide.
The cerebrolysin?
Yeah,
the
that
Russians
comes from Russia.
Oh, whoa. Okay.
Yeah.
I hope they're testing.
You got to look at all the research is from Russia on cerebrolysin. It's amazing.
Really?
Yeah, it's really good research too.
Russian research.
Yeah, it's really good. Yeah, a lot of people talk crap, but like the physicists in Russia are amazing.
Oh yeah, it seems like all in the history of like movies and real history, there's always Russian physicists who are incredible at what they do.
Well, because they taught calculus in like second grade.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a very mathematical society.
100%.
So cerebral lysin. I mean, most peptides come out of Germany, but cerebral lysin for some reason came out of Russia in like the 70s.
Can people buy peptides, or do they have to go through a doctor?
They can. That's what I was saying. Like you can buy them. There's all these companies popping up now to sell peptides. My biggest advice is work with a doctor. Get them from a reliable source that the doctor has vetted. Hopefully he's not just using cheap Chinese peptides. Just don't get Chinese peptides. Make sure they're compounded in a U.S. lab, U.S. derived, U.S. produced.
That's it.
That's my big. You're injecting these things. Be safe.
Yeah. 100%.
Be safe with them.
Okay, I have one last question for this. I would love your opinion. You know Brian Johnson?
Yeah.
He uses tons of peptides and tons of everything.
And he said cerebral lysin is his favorite.
He said cerebral lysin is his favorite?
His favorite, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Him and I have something in common.
I spoke after him at the last event in Venice.
Oh, there was a Venice event that he was speaking at?
Yeah, what was it? Like the giraffe event?
A giraffe event?
Yeah, like the wellness giraffe. I don't know. Did you hear about these guys?
Nah, man, I don't know.
They brought Brian Johnson, a bunch of cool speakers. I spoke right after him at the event. Yeah, nice guy. But then he was like, yeah, cerebral. And Ken Holtorf was there.
Oh, whoa. Okay.
Yeah.
How did I miss this one?
I don't know.
I was outside right here getting the mail. A Huberman will walk right past.
Really?
Yeah.
No kidding.
But he don't like me. We don't get along that well.
Really?
From the past, yeah. So there was no eye contact.
He also talked some BS about peptides.
Does he?
He kind of re-corrected himself.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
reconnection. Like, come on, Huberman. Come on.
Right. Exactly.
No, I actually, I love his podcasting. I learned a lot. Anyway.
I think he has a great show.
Yeah.
I think it's a great show. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. This ain't the gossip. This is Heal Thyself Gossip Podcast. That's the after hours. That's the Patreon one.
You only get invited to that for the bloopers.
Exactly, for the bloopers. So bro, anything else going on, like anything resting on your heart that's important that you want the people to view or viewing and understanding about, like what's going on, like anything else?
Yeah, I think we're living in a society. I think this is the big one that I'm seeing right now that I really want to. I think we're living in a society where people are jumping to therapies before they understand their body's mechanisms. Mm-hmm. Everybody's so interested. They hear about this cool thing. They jump on it. The body is separate and individual for every single person. I really think like the best use of people's money is getting somebody to fully evaluate comprehensively what's wrong. Mm-hmm. Wherever you live, in whatever state, in whatever country, whatever's going on, find somebody that can evaluate you comprehensively, because it's not about therapies. It's about the totality of the picture. And I think people are missing that because they're like, I want to try this one thing. I want to try this one thing. I want to try this one thing. And they're not doctors, and they're using chat to medically diagnose them. There's this crazy, all of a sudden, like authority that chat has, and everybody's leaning on this. Like,
everybody.
Yeah. And it's, and we ran so many labs through chat, and it's, some of the stuff is accurate and some of it's not. And I'd say it's 60% there, 70% there. And listen, maybe in 2 years, it'll be better than all of us as doctors, and we'll all be out of a job. And that'll be crazy, because then everybody will be healthy, and that's amazing. But just don't jump to therapies. Figure out what your body's expressing. Get to the root cause. Stop doing small things that may give you a little bit of benefit, but are still not addressing the big stuff that's not. And that's emotional, right? We all jump, we all skirt, like we're like, just spend some time and deep dive and give yourself the love of working with somebody that is going to really holistically evaluate the body. And I think, I don't like jumping to therapies before understanding the expression of the body, because some of these things are super cool, but, and maybe they're worth trying, but like, it's just not, why do it that way?
That's the health and wellness industry, man. We look at the new hot thing and everyone spends all this money to do it. And like, oh, wasn't the one thing to cure me, right? It wasn't the one thing that made all the difference. And the truth is like, it's a integrative spectrum of all the things, right? Like the mental, emotional, the physical stuff, the spiritual stuff, the community stuff, the food stuff. It's like we all need guidance like that. And ChatGPT will not tell us all of that, not in the sense of the humanistic way that we can see everything.
Right. And it's not about like, it's also not about reaching perfection or reaching immortality.
There ain't no perfection.
And there's no immortality. It's just like, what's your body expressing? Do at least the base to understand what that is and use appropriate therapies that help that dysfunction. And then you can do the cool stuff that you hear about.
Yeah. All the fancy shit.
But like the fancy stuff is like, that's secondary.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I have a big love for people. I've been doing this for a while, and we're getting healthier. We're getting more conscious, but there's some problems in our industry of like too much wellness, too much focus without really evaluating the mechanics.
We got to look under the hood.
We've got to look under the hood.
We just got to take a quick look and be like, oh, okay, take it easy. Last time you came here, a lot of people came and saw you after our visit. They loved your energy. They loved what you said. I'm sure people will now. Where do they find you?
So my clinic's in Beverly Hills. It's called Citrin Wellness, Citrin. If you just Google Citrin Wellness, it'll give you all the info. And for any practitioners listening, if you want to use Endo, it's free. It's free to use. So endoaxis.com, endoaxis.com, if you're a doctor and you're utilizing Dutch and you want to interpret for your patients. But it's exciting. We're on the forefront of like, supporting women specifically. They've been so bastardized by the industry for so long. It's really cool to be part of an organization now that I helped co-found, and we're changing women's lives and making their hormones not disrupted. And it's not just a band-aid of take some birth control or you're fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that is a big message for women of like, any hormonal dysfunction you feel is not okay.
Yeah. Amen.
Your symptom for hormonal issues is not okay. It's like having a headache. It's not okay. It's not okay to get headaches. It means something's wrong. It's like period cramps, flow issues, cystic acne, hair, anything that you can think of that's hormonal, fatigue, brain fog. We don't have to live in those worlds anymore. We can optimize now. We have so many tools. It's super cool. It's a great time to be alive.
It's a great time to be alive. All right, brother. Thank you so much for what you do, what you bring in, the knowledge. And I'll get you next year for number 3.
I love it.
All right, bro. All right. Thank you.